right, now we're going to perform a brake check. Wait for my chambers to fill up. Takes a lot of air sometimes. Oh my goodness.
Jason Boudreau with ELDT.com. Today we're going to be going over a modernized pre-trip. We have instructor and state examiner Josh Munderloh. He will be conducting that. Can you tell us a little bit about the modernized pre-trip, Josh?
Absolutely. On the modernized pre-trip, we're going to be covering the safety critical items on the vehicle before you take it out on the road. Just remember that there are FMCSA standards with a lot more items and components to check. It is the driver's responsibility to know those items and check those items before they conduct their pre-trips. So again, as a reminder, we are only going over the safety critical items.
Sweet. I guess let's get started.
Yeah, let's get it. All right, we're going to begin this modernized pre-trip with an air supply test, basically checking the entire vehicle for air leaks. We're going to start by making sure both of our brake valves are pulled out. And then we're going to verify that our gauges are 2 or below 90 psi to ensure that when we check our air governor, it actually builds air into the system. So I'm going to take some air out of the system. Currently at 120, I'm going to bleed it down below 90 psi. My gauges are below 90 psi. Primary's at 85, secondary's at 89. We're now going to do a safety start. We're going to push in the clutch, verify the transmission's in neutral. We're going to turn the key to the on position, verify the ABS light turns on and then turns off, and we will now start the truck. We're going to double check our neutral position, slowly release the clutch. Now that the engine's running, we're going to wait for our air governor to cut out between 120 and 140 psi. That sound was the sound of my air governor cutting out. My primary air gauge is at 130 psi. My secondary air gauge is at 129 psi. All right, now that my air governor is cut out, we're going to place the truck into gear. We're going to push in the clutch, put our transmission into a gear. That's to ensure we don't roll away. If you have an automatic truck, you may need to get out and use some wheel chocks to secure the vehicle to make sure it doesn't roll anywhere. Once we're in gear, we're going to shut the engine off. Slowly release the clutch. Turn the key back to the on position without restarting the engine. And verify our ABS lights are still working correctly on the truck and the trailer. All right, my truck is in gear, so we will not roll away. Next, we're going to check the air system for leaks. I'm going to press in both my truck and trailer valves, and I will hold my service brake. Once all 3 systems are filling with air, we're going to wait for these needles to settle. They will drop a little bit. And once they have settled, that is where we start our 60-second timer. And we cannot lose more than 4 psi in that 60 seconds. So here we go. 1, 2. You can hear the air fill the brake chambers. Get comfortable in your seat because we have to hold this for 60 seconds. I'm going to press and hold my service brake. The noise is gone. My needles have settled. I am currently at 100 psi on my primary air gauge and 99 psi on my secondary air gauge. This is where I'm going to start my 60-second time. As a reminder, we cannot lose more than 4 psi in this combination vehicle in a 60-second time frame. If we lose more than 4 psi, it means we have a substantial air leak and this truck is not safe to drive on the road. If you do not have a trailer and you're doing just a single vehicle tractor, it is 3 psi in 60 seconds. All right, 60 seconds is up. Our primary air gauge is still at 100 psi and our secondary air gauge is still at 99 psi. This truck has no leaks. The next step is to verify that our low air warning light is functioning. The low air warning light will come on at 55 psi or above. In order to get that low air warning light to come on, we're going to fan our brakes to take air out of the air system. My low air warning light is on. My primary air gauge is at 70 psi and my secondary air gauge is at 78 psi. The next step is we are going to make sure our tractor and trailer valves pop out. They need to pop out between 20 and 45 psi. In order to do that, we're going to fan our service brake just like we did for a low air warning light, and we're going to watch our valves and we're going to make sure they both pop out 20 and 45 psi. Another thing to note while you're working on your valve pop out test is to keep your hands away from the valves. The valves need to pop out on their own. You cannot assist them. We're going to start fanning those brakes. All right, both of our valves have popped. Primary air gauge is at 21 psi and the secondary air gauge is at 25 psi. All right, the air supply test is done. We now are going to do a safety start. We're going to press in our clutch, put the transmission in neutral. We're going to cycle our key here, verify our ABS lights are still working, and we will start the truck. Quick note, you don't have to check your ABS light 3 times. It's just a good healthy habit to be checking all your indicator lights as you turn your key to the on position. Now that we're in neutral, I'm going to slowly release the clutch. The reason we restarted the engine is because after our end cab portion of the pre-trip, we're going to do a brake check. We're going to check our parking brakes and our service brakes. So we need to have air in our system in order to do that. I'm going to bump up our idle a little bit to expedite the process and get this beeping noise. All right. Now that we started our engine, we're waiting for our air to build so we can then do a brake check. While we're waiting for our air to build, we're going to start inspecting our mirrors or traffic monitoring devices, whichever you want to use. They are secure. Mirrors and brackets are securely mounted, not cracked or damaged or bent. We have no missing parts. They are clean and they are properly adjusted for me from the inside. After that, we're going to move on to our windshield. Our windshield is securely mounted, not cracked or damaged. It is clean and I have no obstructions of view except for the inspection sticker. From there, our windshield wiper arms and blades are securely mounted, not damaged. They operate smoothly and the washer fluid is working. All right, after that, we're going to move on and ensure that our city horn works, beep, beep, and our air horn is functioning properly. Toot, toot, toot. All right, from there, we're going to move on to our lighting indicators. Up on my dash here, I'm going to verify that my left turn signal indicator is working properly. My right turn signal indicator is working properly. My 4-way flasher indicators are working properly. And my high beam headlight indicators are working properly. After that, we're going to move to our heater and defroster and make sure they work. We are in hot. Turn the fan on, move to defrost. I'm going to check my vent up top to make sure I can feel air blowing out. And then I will move the fan towards the bottom to ensure I have heat down the bottom. Those are functioning properly. From there, we're going to ensure we have the proper safety equipment. I have circuit breakers equipped in this truck. They are located behind the glove box here. I have 3 red reflective triangles. They are located in the side box outside the truck. And I have a securely mounted, properly charged fire extinguisher next to my seat. All right, now we're going to perform a brake check. First, we're going to stick our truck, place our truck into a low gear. I prefer first. All right, and then we're going to check our truck parking brakes. In order to do that, we need to release our trailer. Push the valve in, wait for my chambers to fill up. I'm going to gently pull against the truck brakes. Listening to the engine. There we go. The truck did not move. Now we're going to test our trailer parking brakes. In order to do that, set our trailer brakes. Release our truck parking brakes. Again, waiting for the chambers to fill. Chambers are full. Gently pull against the trailer parking brakes. There we go. We did not move, so those are working. Last but not least, we're going to ensure that our service brakes are working. We're going to release both our truck and trailer brakes. We're going to pull forward approximately 10 feet or so, not exceeding 5 miles an hour. And then we're going to apply our service brake. And when we do, we need to ensure our truck stops and that the steering wheel doesn't move to the left or the right. So we'll keep our hands lightly on the steering wheel, come off my service brake, check my mirrors, make sure I'm not going to hurt anyone. Slowly pull forward, no more than 5 miles an hour. Push in the clutch, apply the service brake. And the truck did not pull to the left or the right, and we stopped safely. That completes our brake check. From there, I'm going to ask the examiner to exit the vehicle to check my exterior light operations. So, Mr. Examiner, can you please exit the vehicle? All right, we're going to do our external light check. The examiner, please go to the front of the truck. I'm going to turn all my lights on. I'm going to ask the examiner, please check my clearance lights, check my side marker lights, and my low beam headlights. Great. And then we're going to check our turn signals, starting with the right turn signal indicator. And then we're going to check the left turn signal indicator and our four-way flashers and our high beam headlights. All right, the examiner's at the rear of my vehicle, my trailer. I'm going to ask him to please check my clearance lights and my tail lights, make sure they're all working. Then we're going to check our left turn signal indicator, our right turn signal indicator, and our brake lights. All right, let's move to the front of the vehicle. We're going to do our lenses check. Check to make sure all of our lenses are in safe operating condition. We're going to start with our clearance lights up top. We're going to check our side marker lights on the truck and our headlights. We're also going to be checking our reflectors. Ensure they are all securely mounted, not cracked or damaged. They are clean. They are not missing, and they are the proper color for location. This is the front, so they need to be amber. From there, we're going to move down the side of our truck. Here's another side marker light on our truck. We would check that the same as we did in the front. It is the proper color amber. We're going to check the rear of truck lights. We're going to check our rear of truck tail lights and reflectors the same as we did in the front. They are the proper color for location, which is red. I have DOT reflective tape on the back of my truck here. I need to ensure that it is present, clean, and properly affixed to the vehicle. Okay, we're going to move to the front side of the trailer. We're going to check our front clearance light up top. We're going to check all of our side trailer lights. We're going to check our ABS light, if equipped. We're going to check all of our reflectors. Remember, sometimes these reflectors are built into the lenses themselves. Check those the same as we did in the front. Ensure they're the proper color for location, which is red towards the rear, amber elsewhere. Your ABS light will be amber. From there, we'll move on and check our DOT reflective tape down the side of our trailer. Ensure that it is present, clean, and properly affixed to the vehicle. Then we'll move our way to the back of the trailer. All right, now that we're in the rear of the trailer, we're going to check our clearance lights up top. We're going to check our tail lights down below here. All of our reflectors, we're going to check them the same as we did in the front. They are the proper color for location, which is red. I have DOT reflective tape back here. Ensure that it is present, clean, and properly affixed to the vehicle. After this, we are going to go to the front of the vehicle and start checking under the hood. All right, now that I'm in the front of the truck, I'm going to check underneath the truck for puddles on the ground, such as coolant, oil, fuel, or grease. I'm also going to be looking for any dripping fluids from the engine or the transmission. Time to pop the hood. All right, let's start on the passenger side of the truck here. We're going to check all of our hoses and air lines. We're going to check them for condition and leaks, cracks, damages, bumps, bulges. Make sure nothing is leaking. From there, we're going to move on to our critical fluid levels. We have our engine coolant here. We're going to verify it's between add and full. If we cannot see through the reservoir, we could remove the radiator cap, but we got to make sure the engine's not hot before we do that. We're going to go check our critical fluid levels here. This is where we check our oil level. We need to ensure that our oil level is between add and full. We use the dipstick by doing that. This is our power steering fluid level. We need to ensure our power steering fluid level is between add and full. If you can't see through the sight glass, you may have to use a dipstick. Then we'll move to our power steering gear box. Ensure that it is securely mounted, not cracked or damaged. It is not leaking. Our hoses are not damaged, worn, or leaking. And the fittings are securely mounted. They're tight, not leaking. Then we check our steering linkage from the box to the wheel, starting with our pitman arm, drag link, and tie rod. Make sure they are not worn or cracked. Ensure our socket and joints are not worn or loose, and we have no loose or missing nuts, bolts, cotter keys, or pins. All right, we'll move on to our suspension, our spring mounts. They are securely mounted, not cracked or damaged. They are not missing parts. Our leaf spring is not cracked or damaged. It's not missing or shifted. Our shock absorber, securely mounted, not cracked, damaged, or leaking. From there, we'll move on to our braking system. Our brake hoses or lines are not cracked, damaged, worn, or frayed. They can supply air, and I hear no air leaks. The airline connections or fittings are securely mounted. Then we move to our brake drums and linings. They are free of contaminants such as oil or grease. From there, we move to our tire. Ensure that our tire tread depth is a minimum of 4/32 of an inch. We would check that with a tire gauge. Make sure there is no cuts, damage, bumps, or bulges from the tread or the sidewalls with no exposed body plies or cords. Our valve stem and cap is accessible. It's not damaged or missing. We would check for proper tire inflation with a tire gauge. My rims are not cracked, damaged, or bent. They have no welding repairs, and I have no elongated stud bolt holes. My lug nuts are all present. They're not loose. Signs of looseness would be rust trails or shiny threads. I have no broken studs and no loose or missing nuts or bolts. From there, we'll move on to our fuel tank. Our fuel tank is securely mounted. It's not damaged or leaking. My cap is tight and not leaking. Move down our truck here. This is our battery box. We need to ensure that the battery box lid is securely mounted. If my batteries were exposed, I would inspect those batteries. Moving on back. This is my frame and my frame members. I'm going to check my truck frame, frame members, and my trailer frame underneath. Ensure it's not cracked, damaged, has no holes in it. There are no broken welds. On my trailer frame, I would ensure I have no holes in the cargo floor, no cracks or breaks. From there, we will move to our air and electrical lines. Our air and electrical lines from the power unit to the trailer are free of damage. They are seated and sealed on both ends. The glad hands and electrical line are locked in place, both the power unit and the trailer. My air and electrical lines are not cut, cracked, chafed, spliced, taped, or worn. I hear no air leaks coming from the lines. My air and electrical lines are not tangled, crimped, pinched, or dragging against tractor parts or the ground. Next, we will move to our fifth wheel coupling assembly, starting with our apron. My apron is not cracked, damaged, or bent. My apron is lying flat on my fifth wheel skid plate. There is no space in between. My fifth wheel skid plate is securely mounted by the platform. No cracks, damage, or excessive wear. My fifth wheel skid plate and my apron are both properly lubricated. My release arm is in the engaged position. If I had a safety latch, I would ensure it was in place. Move around to the back here. I would ensure that my locking jaws are fully closed around my kingpin. There is no play between the kingpin and locking jaws. My kingpin is in place. It's not cracked, bent, or worn. After that, we'll move on to our landing gear. I will ensure my landing gear is fully raised. I have no missing parts. The crank handle is secure. My landing support frame and landing pads are not damaged. I would ensure that my fifth wheel is positioned properly so that my landing gear does not hit the back of my truck during turns.
Josh, is that the Modernized Pre Trip? Y'all done?
Yep, we got her done.
Cool, man. So that's the Modernized Pre Trip. That is the way you're going to want to do it. When you see the words modernized, watch this video as many times as you want. Really get it down, let it sink in. And just remember, always do your pre-trip. Always check your kingpin, always check your locking jaws, your tires, all those things that could cause an accident, that potentially could put someone else's life in danger. Make sure to do those checks. Don't ever get lazy on them. Anything else you want to add to that, Josh?
Nope, that sums it up. Keep it safe.
All right, sweet. Thank you.